Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome to Reading with Mrs. Durham. Hopefully, you're in the right video. Today is the 16th of November, and all you need today is your reading and writing workshop book. So that is your small reading book, not your big one. That's your small reading book. So if you have that with you, go ahead and get it out. We're not going to read a story right now, but in a little bit, we're going to read a story from it. So, how was your weekend? Did you have a wonderful weekend? Are you excited for a new school week? I know that I'm excited for a new week of school. This week, we're talking about big things in reading. We've kind of been building on our community and who's in our community, animals in their communities. We've talked about how to build things in our communities. This week, we're talking about how can we make our communities better? And what can we do to help out in our communities, right? So we're going to be talking about things like how people help take care of planting the gardens and stuff, and help the landscape and keeping our towns safe, or keeping our towns clean, or what you can do to be a leader, or people who have been leaders in the past. As you'll find out, we're going to read a story about a very important leader who was in our country and in our communities a long time ago. So, like I said, this week is all about making a difference in your community and helping to make it better. So, some vocabulary words I want to talk to you about that kind of help with that and explain our idea of what makes our communities better. Actually, before I show you these vocab words, what do you think you could do in our community to help make it better, or to help keep it clean, or to help keep it safe? What do you think that you could do to help make it better? Okay? Because we have lots of people who help keep our community as nice as it is. We live in a wonderful community of Knoxville, and we have lots of people that help out with that. So, some things that it takes is, our first word is leadership. Leader, so it has the word leader and then the word ship in it, so leadership. Leadership. It's the ability to guide a group of people or the action of leading others. That's the definition of it. But what leadership means is that there's somebody who helps bring people together and helps show them the way to, in this example, they're winning things, or to making things better, or to finishing a project. Leadership means you help lead others. So in this picture, they have leadership because they work together. Look at their coach right here. Their coach probably had a lot of leadership in helping them grow and work together to win this. So you have to have some leadership, or somebody who will help lead the way towards making things better. Our next word is admire. Admire. Okay, admire. Admire means that you're looking up to somebody. The actual definition is when you admire someone, you approve of and like that person. So I always think of it as like somebody who I look up to, or somebody who I admire, or respect them for what they've done or how they treat others. I really admire people who treat others nicely. Those are people who I admire. So I admire these girls because they're picking up trash and they're going to recycle it. They're going to put it where it needs to go. So admire means that you are looking up to somebody else. So those are 2 vocab words. We will have more vocabulary words tomorrow, but those are our words for today. So we are going to move over here, and we are going to read a story about somebody who a lot of people admire and who was a leader in our country. We're going to read the story of Martin Luther King Jr. Have you ever heard of that name before? Sometimes it's shortened to MLK, the story of Martin Luther King Jr. That's what this title is, the story of Martin Luther King Jr. We're going to find out who he is. If you don't know, I'm not going to spoil the story, but I'm going to read it for you. So the story of Martin Luther King Jr., it was written by, so the author is Johnny Ray Moore. Johnny Ray Moore. And it's illustrated by, which means the pictures are by, Amy Wummer. So, the story of Martin Luther King Jr. There's the first picture. Looks like maybe he's studying, huh? Every January, we celebrate the birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. Do you know why we remember him? So it happens in January. It is November, so this will be in 2 months. Martin was born in 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. His father was a preacher and his mother was a school teacher. This is, there he is. He's right there. Martin liked to go to school. He always did more than his teachers asked him to. Ooh. He always did more than his teachers asked him to. That's the picture that we saw at the beginning. He was studying in school. Martin's school was old. It needed a lot of fixing, but the school for the white children was new. So this is back in a time where we actually had separate schools. I know that's hard to believe that we were ever like that. Well, we had 2 schools for different colors of skin. So he was saying that his school was old and then the white students had a new school. Martin and his mom and dad liked to eat out, but sometimes restaurants would not serve them. Still in that same time where if it was depending on the color of your skin, you could go into a restaurant and eat or not, or you had a different school. Martin could not drink from all of the water fountains. He had to find one with a sign that read colored. So they even had water fountains that were for certain skin colors. So that one says white, so he was not able to drink at that one. Can you believe that that was even a thing? This made Martin angry. He wanted to go to the best school. He wanted to eat at any restaurant, and he wanted to drink from any water fountain. Would that make you mad too? That would be very hard. I can see why Martin would be upset. When Martin grew up, he became a preacher. And one day he spoke to more than 200,000 people. 200,000 people. This is him speaking. This is at a big monument in Washington, D.C. called the Lincoln Memorial. It is a really big building. I've been there before, and there's so many people that can watch anybody who's speaking. See all those people? Martin said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin." Have you heard of that before? I have a dream. He had a dream that he wanted to take all of those water fountains, all the separate schools, all the separate restaurants, and to make that not be a thing. He wanted everybody to be equal. And there's that spot where he was speaking at. I've actually stood there. I put my feet on the same spot that Martin Luther King Jr. made that speech. Talk about a moment of just awe. I had no words. It was just amazing. Martin made his dreams come true, and now we can all eat in any restaurant. Because of him, he stood up for that. We can drink from any water fountain or go to any school. Everybody can be together. Dream our dreams just like Martin Luther King Jr. So it showed us that he was a leader. He was a leader. He was not going to stand for something that was so wrong. And he decided that he wanted to be a leader and to get everybody to realize that that was not okay to have separate schools, separate water fountains, separate restaurants. And so he gave that big speech that he said, "I have a dream." And he was able to change our whole country. He really changed our whole country by standing up and being a leader. What did you picture in your mind? I know we've talked about visualizing before, and kind of when like you can see a movie happening in your mind. Could you picture in your mind when that was happening? I kind of close my eyes, and when I'm reading, I'm picturing what the world would be like. I just can't imagine how sad it would be if that was happening. So I'm really glad that he stood up for that and made a change. So that was really good. Do you think you could go back through and retell me some of the important events that happened? Or tell me some of the details. What were some of the things that Martin didn't like? What were some of the things that he wanted to change, that he didn't think was okay, that he couldn't do when he was a kid? He couldn't drink from the water fountain. He couldn't go to the same school. He could not eat in the same kind of restaurants. Good. What did Martin do to change that? What did he do? He gave a really big speech about saying he had a dream to change this and to make the world an equal place where everybody can be the same, right? Do you remember? This is a tricky one. How many people did he talk to? Do you remember that number? How many people was he talking to? 200,000 people came to listen to his speech. Good. And so what was the idea of this story? What was the main idea? What did this author want us to learn? What did the author want us to learn after reading this story? The author wanted us to know that he had a dream and he was a leader and he made a change for the right in our world. Yep. And that he stood up for what was right and that he made a difference because he made a speech and reached out to everybody and brought light that it was not okay. So that is the main idea, was that he, because he was a leader, he could change the world. So good story. Good story. Man, this makes me feel thankful for how we are now, right? And that we can be free and equal and that we all have a voice. So, all right, we're now going to come back over to the Smartboard because now is our chance where we're going to actually get out our another story. We're going to kind of switch gears a little bit because that was, I did kind of want to talk about that. So that was like, it was kind of nonfiction because it was real. Were the photographs real? They were drawn, but was that real things that happened? That was real events that happened. So that was not made up. That was real. So this is what we talked about earlier, that our question of the week is, how do people help out in our community to make it better? So like here are 3 little kids who are planting a garden. So maybe their community didn't have a garden or anything and they wanted to help make and put more plants in and make it more beautiful and take care of it rather than trash building up there or something. So that was our idea of the week. And we're still thinking about, how do people in your community help out? How do people in your community help out? Alrighty, we talked about our vocabulary words this week, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump. Let's really quick, I know we talked about our vocabulary words, but I did kind of want to talk about our high frequency words for this week. So we have the words all, call, day, her, and want. I was going to see if it would actually let me pull it up here. You see the words right here, but it's not going to let me. So I'll just kind of write them on the board for you guys to see. All, A-L-L, all, call. So like all is like all of you guys who are watching this. Call is like, make a phone call. Day is when the sun is out during the day, or maybe it's like Monday. It's a day of the week. Her, H-E-R, her, so that's referring to a girl. And want, like you want to have some ice cream. Want. So these are our words that we're going to practice this week that we say a lot, we write a lot, we hear a lot. All, call, day, her, want. Great job. Okay. Now you can open up your small reading book we're going to read a cute little story that is called Thump Thump Helps Out. Thump Thump Helps Out. So this is on page 74. 74. Page 74 in your small reading book. Not your big one, in your small reading book. Thump Thump Helps Out. All right, our question up here, how do people help out in our community? That's what we're talking about this week. This story is a fantasy story. So this means that this is a made-up story, and it's going to be kind of like a fairy tale, kind of silly. So you can kind of tell who's going to be in the story, who our characters might be, right? So pause me now if you're not here. Unpause me when you're ready to start the story. Thump Thump liked to thump. He thumped a lot as he sang. He thumped a lot just for fun. Oh, so maybe thumping, like kind of thumping his foot. Have you ever heard of like the Disney character like Thumper? Hush! Stop that! Thump Thump! Yelled all the little rabbits. We do not like it one bit. But Thump Thump did not stop. Uh-oh. Do you think they're going to get mad? They're looking to get mad. But does he look kind of happy? He looks happy. But they're not feeling it. One day, there was a problem. Thump Thump's bus hit a rock. Oh no! Bang! Crash! Clunk! His bus got stuck in the mud. The little rabbits could not fix it. Uh-oh. That is a problem, isn't it? There is mud everywhere. We wish big rabbits could get us home, sniffled the little rabbits. Help us, yelled Miss Sheldon. But not one big rabbit heard her call. So they're calling for help, but nobody is hearing them. Thump Thump had a plan. I think I can help, he sang. He thumped and thumped and thumped. So he's kind of thumping his foot. Big rabbits all overheard Thump Thump's thump. Get it? His name is Thump Thumps. But they're saying they heard Thump Thump's thump. They heard his thump. They rushed to help fix the bus. The kids got home fast. So who kind of saved the day? Thump Thump! Thump Thump, can you help us? Asked the big rabbits. We want you to thump loud and long if a rabbit needs help. Oh, so kind of like a siren, to like let people know that you need help. His thump is going to help them. Thump Thump, went Thump Thump with a song. What? Thump Thump, went Thump Thump with a song. So this is him going thump thump. And then it's telling you his name. And Thump Thump thumps and brings help to this day. So he does do his thump. And he gets everybody help and tells all the big rabbits to go help anybody who needs help. The end! Wow, okay. If we didn't say thump thump enough. Wow, we said thump thump enough. Thump thump thumps. I'm going to mess that up. Okay, I want you to try to pause me and go back and read this your own. See if you can find out what some of those words are. Most of them you should know. And be careful. It's okay to take your time. You notice how many times I went back and I read thump thump went thump thump? Because sometimes it sounds silly and it might not make sense. Sometimes you have to reread it a couple times to really understand what the story is trying to say. So go ahead and pause me now. You go back and try to reread that story by your own. See if you can catch some of those words that I read to you. Okay? And then when you're done, unpause me, because real quick, we're going to talk about the characters and the setting and what happened in this story. So unpause me when you're ready. Are you ready? How about now? Are you ready now? Okay. So I've talked about for a couple weeks now that a character is somebody who's in the story. A setting is where it's happening. And events are things that go together to make it a complete story and are what happens. So we are going to look at this little chart right here. Okay? So in the beginning, we had Thump Thump, right? He's in the forest. Okay, now that's kind of, they didn't really tell us that he was in the forest, but it kind of, you can tell by the leaves and the grass that they're probably in the forest. So they say that he's in the forest, and what happened in the beginning was he kept thumping his feet a lot, right? The girls asked him to please stop, but they asked him to stop, but did it really end up saving the day? It did, yep. All right, the rabbits are another character. Where are they at? They're in the forest. And what happened with all the rabbits? The bus hit a rock and got stuck in the mud. That happened with all those rabbits on the bus, didn't it? Yep. I would also say setting maybe could be the bus because they're on the bus. So kind of another idea for setting. And then once again at the end we have Thump Thump again. He's in the forest, but this time instead of thumping his feet and them getting mad, he thumped his feet to get help. And he brought help to them. So, good story. Good story. Thump Thump was a leader, wasn't he? And afterwards, all those rabbits admired him for him being able to make a call to get help. So it really worked out for Thump Thump. So we talked about two leaders today. Martin Luther King Jr. We talked about Thump Thump, who's a leader for the rabbits, right? So we're talking all about making our communities better and who helps out in our communities. So Thump Thump is now a helper in his community because, look at my cart, it's just rolling. Thump Thump is now a helper in his community because he is helping alert when somebody needs help. So he is a helper himself. So tomorrow we'll talk about more vocabulary, talk about more about helpers, reread some of the stories that we read today, and I will see you tomorrow for another wonderful day of reading. I'll see you guys later. Bye.